Tatiana Jefferson was in her home in 2019 with her 8-year-old nephew playing video games. She opened up her front door to air out the home from smoke, I believe. The neighbor became concerned and called the police to do a welfare check. The police arrived. Specifically, Officer Aaron Dean and his female partner arrived. They looked through the front door and didn't see anyone. They never tried to enter the home through the front door. They never announced themselves. So they proceeded to the side of the home, flashing their lights. So at some point, Miss Jefferson's come to the window and opened up the blinds and was immediately shot and killed by Officer Aaron Dean. Before I go any further, I'm going to roll some clips, courtesy of Law Nation. I must give them credit because I'm using more than 30 seconds of their clips. So the credit for these clips in which I would do my analysis on, is of great benefit. So without further ado, I'm going to roll these clips and come back and give you my take and tell you what I believe the verdict will be.
What do you think you did the best?
Not sure. Things I could have done better.
What grade would you give yourself? A to F. I'd like to see how you... No, go ahead, tell us. I'm talking before you pulled the trigger. That minute and 17 seconds before you pulled the trigger. A to F.
Probably a B.
So wish to testify.
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because this jury needs to hear from me and hear the truth.
The pelvic cavity here.
Nobody looked at that video and said there's any doubt that this officer acted inappropriately.
At first, Fort Worth police shared photos of Jefferson's gun, but later called that a mistake.
The gun is irrelevant. She was in her own home, caring for an 8-year-old nephew.
Dean never gave police investigators any reason why he fired.
Had the officer not resigned, I would have fired him for violations of several policies, including our use of force policy.
2 days after the killing,
At approximately 6 p.m., Aaron Dean was arrested for the murder of Miss Jefferson.
Based on those clips, I can pretty much tell you what I believe the verdict gonna be. Strongly believe the verdict gonna be. Defendant Aaron Dean was asked by his defense attorney why he chose to take the stand rather than plead the fifth. He stated that the jury needed to hear from him. They needed to hear the truth. Defendant Dean took the stand, in my opinion, because he wanted to persuade the jury, impress the jury with his education. Wanted to try to persuade a jury with the charm that he thought he possessed. That failed miserably. Here's 2 questions that the prosecutor asked that did 2 things in this case that a lot of people really don't understand and see. So I'm going to break it down to you. One of the questions was to the defendant, Dean. What did you do best in that situation? He stated, prior to answering, he paused a long time and stated, I'm not sure. The prosecutor asked him, what type of grade would he give him from A to F prior to shooting through the window at Miss Jefferson? He paused a long time and stated, probably a B. Those 2 questions did 2 things. But first, let me tell you this here. When you are claiming self-defense, you should never take the stand when the evidence is clear of a self-defense. The only reason why you would take the stand like Mr. Dean did is because you understand and know that your self-defense facts and situation does not exist. You take the stand out of desperation to appeal to the jury. And that's a bad, bad thing. Now, when a prosecutor asked those two questions, it had two benefits to their prosecution. But let me say this here. When you take the stand like Mr. Dean did, you set yourself up to walk right into this trap. And when you walk right into this trap, you guaranteed a particular verdict. When the prosecutor asked him what he did best, he said, "I'm not sure." The proper response was, "I acted in self-defense and preserved my life and my partner." That should have been a proper assertion. Although the evidence is not there, it would have lent some credibility or the benefit of the doubt that he actually felt like his life was in jeopardy. The prosecutor asked him the other question to grade himself on prior to shooting through the window. He said probably a B. Wrong answer. The answer should have been A+. I grade myself in A+ because I acted in self-defense to preserve my life as well as my partner's life. He paused and stated, probably. In other words, probably a B. His answers effectively, unequivocally annihilated his self-defense claim. It killed it. He himself got on the stand and stated by those answers to the questions that his conduct at the time when he shot through the window was murder. The questions that the prosecutor set up when he took the stand was magnificent. I take my hat off to both prosecutors. People take exception to the all-white jury. Let me tell you why the prosecutor didn't have a problem with it. We already know the defense wanted that, but let me tell you why these two prosecutors didn't have a problem with it. For 3 reasons they didn't have a problem with it. Number one, they properly vetted the jury, and they knew and they was confident that those jurors could render a proper decision based on the facts. Number two, the prosecutors knew that the evidence that this man committed murder or the option of manslaughter, the evidence is there for either one of those judgments. Number three, they was confident in their ability to present the evidence and argue the facts, so they didn't care. People, those factors that the prosecutor took to the table with them demonstrated that when you got the evidence, you confident in your ability, you confident in your ability to argue and present that evidence, you're a great attorney. So with that being said, the verdict against Mr. Dean will be for murder, although the jury can return a verdict for manslaughter. I do believe that based on the fact that those clips, I believe that the jury saw the pause in this man with those two questions. And when they look at the video footage, they're going to see that his action was unjustified. I would submit it can go either way of the verdict of a manslaughter or murder, but I can guarantee it's going to be a guilty verdict, and I'm saying it's going to be murder. So, with that being said, I'm going to get this video uploaded. It's December the 15th, and I believe it's about 7:30. So, good morning to all my subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. If you like, subscribe and share.